And so this is going to be a part two, finished continuation from what the BLM man, gentleman explained to us. So yeah, so this is talking about actually using the MRS and maps to finish locating, mining, clean, and prospecting areas.
Do I need the microphone? No. Good. So, hello everyone. Welcome. I'm blocking part of my screen here. With all the noise that the mic's making, I prefer not to use it. So, if anybody decides they can't hear me, caw, caw, caw. So we're doing. If anybody says that they can't hear me, raise your hand, holler at me, let me know, and I'll use the mic if I need to. Otherwise, I'm just going to holler.
Hey.
You can't hear me? So what I wanted to do as a follow-up to last month's meeting is kind of a part two. And I think this is the part that the BLM representative, who was very gracious to come out as a representative of the BLM and show how to file a claim, some of the laws, rules, and regulations around filing a claim. And then he kind of opened up the MLRS, but didn't get into it too much. And I felt that there was a lot that he didn't necessarily know, because he talks about the legal side of how to do it and not necessarily the hands-on, how do I go out and look for a claim. So that's how to file it, but how do I know where I want to file? So that's what I wanted to start up with tonight. So really quick, show of hands, who was able to make last month's meeting and see the BLM? Okay, good. So for you guys, this is going to be a great part two. If you weren't here, it's still going to be a fantastic meeting. Just know that the part I'm not going to cover is, once you've located a claim, how to physically file it. And that is available on the website. Matt posted it on our website. It is in the forum section.
It's also on YouTube.
Also on YouTube. So if you want to go back and look at what the BLM guy said about the laws, all the legal mining regulations, it's on the club website. So that said, the first question I have for you is, how, if you're going to go out and you're going to go prospecting, how do you know, as a modern prospector today, what's a good place to go look for a claim?
Where other people have found gold before.
Okay, that was supposed to be my, yay, this is the answer I was looking for, and you led off with it. So thank you for that. No, that's perfect. Yeah.
You can also go to the UMOS, UMOS, with the Utah Mineral Occurrence System. That'll tell you whether it's going to be gold or whatever kind of metals are in the area.
Okay, that's a great one. I haven't heard of that. So that's awesome. UMOS. Okay, UMOS. So what Dan said is that if you go there, it'll tell you like certain areas and what minerals have occurred there. And the answer this gentleman up front gave was the answer I was looking for. The best way to know where you want to go to find gold is to go where people have gone before. That is the number one indicator of whether or not there's gold somewhere. Have people found gold there in the past? Now, the next question is it legal to do something there? So that's what I'm going to cover tonight, is how I look in and the areas that I'm going to go prospect and determine if I'm going to file a claim. A couple other things that I wanted to add to ways you can research areas before you even get to the internet is there's some great resources. Over here, there's quite a few books. Rock on Utah. This one here, which is Gold Panning in Utah from Alan Chentworth. Alan Chentworth, he's a club member. He's actually the one who donated the new claims in Idaho. There's some great information here on where gold exists in Utah. So this is a great starting point. Another great place is the library. There's all sorts of mining books, and the number of books that people have written about different mining districts, different areas. There's a plethora of books there. And the other area that I would recommend going to is the BLM. When you go to the BLM office on North Temple, just off of Redwood right there, when you first walk in the front doors, to the left is a little store. Inside that little store are a lot of self-published books or low publication books that talk about mining districts, talk about all the different mines, talk about Utah mining history. And for just a couple of bucks, I don't remember how much this was. I was looking to see if it had a price on here. I picked up this really cool Utah gold and gem maps and recorded occurrences. This little book right here, it's not a book, it's a bunch of maps, really old maps. And it breaks it down by general zones of Utah. And what's cool about this is if you open it up, it'll break down by numbered zone all of the different mineralizations that have occurred, and it'll show you on the map where it's occurred. And this is just like Tooele, so this is like Tooele County area. Davis, Morgan, Salt Lake, Tooele County. So this is kind of like headed towards West Desert. Idaho border here, Nevada border here. Now, all of these big, large areas that are highlighted on here, on this map, all of those areas are specific to gold. And that's just West Desert area, a little bit of Salt Lake. So any of these big, what's the question?
We need that in the claims guide.
Yeah, I don't know, it's copyright, so we'd have to get permission from the state of Utah. But all of this is not free. I bought this at the BLM office.
How much did you spend on it?
I don't recall, it's been a few years.
Did you put the red marks on it, or did they?
Okay, so the question was, few questions. So one question was, it should be in the claims guide. I don't know if we have the copyright to do that. Rick, what was your question again?
I was just asking, do they charge for those?
Oh, he was asking if it was free. It was a charge. I don't remember how much it was. And then your question was?
Who put the red marks on it? Yeah.
So who put the red marks on it? This is how it came. So all of the numbers here, we'll talk about all of the different azurite, barite, beryl, bixibite, chert. All of the different mineralizations are numbered, and you can find a number down on the map that corresponds to the mineral, and it'll show you where there's been occurrences of that specific mineral. But gold is the one mineral on here that has a huge red mark outlined, and these are the gold-bearing areas where gold has been found in the state of Utah. Number one resource, if you want to start understanding, hey, what are some good areas to go look for gold? You always find gold where people have found it before, and this is a great indication of that. Robert.
The old 7.5 minute maps have got all the claims on them.
The BLM?
If you can get the old ones,
Oh,
they'll have where the Spaniards went, they'll have all that stuff.
Oldham's book?
Old 7.5 minute map, if you can find them.
Okay.
I can't understand, what's the thing?
What's that?
What's the name of the book?
They're not, they're maps,
Maps?
7.5 minute maps.
7.5 minute now.
7.5 minute maps.
Has them anymore.
If you can find them.
Okay. So they don't publish them anymore, but if you can find them, they're called 7.5 minute maps. They're old topographical maps. And the topo maps will have a bunch of old mines and mining routes marked on them.
About 55 of them
There's about 55 of them
that I bought.
that he has.
Want to sell
I would like to really share them with everybody, you know.
Yeah, that'd be great. If there's a way we could try and share that, that'd be amazing.
You need to come and look at it.
Okay. All right, Robert, I've got your number. I'll get in touch with you on that. Do one sec, really, Jerry.
The BLM stopped putting the mining claims on those maps at about 90 or 95. And you can get them printed out. If you go to the Utah office on North Temple and ask them for the old topos, they can print them out.
Can people hear Jerry? Okay, so Jerry said that the BLM intentionally stopped printing map locations on the maps,
Mine location,
the mine locations on the maps in
1995.
probably for safety reasons. And so, but if you go directly to the BLM, you can ask them and they'll print you out a topographical map.
The Utah Geological Survey office on North Temple.
The Utah Geological Survey office can print you out
Yeah. on-
topo maps that have the mine locations on them.
They're not free.
They're not free. Yeah, they
I was just gonna ask you where you got got that? Did you get that at the BLM office on North Temple?
BLM office on North Temple is where I got this. Just walked right in the office. There's a little store. They have a few some cool mining equipment there. They got some cool, decent stuff in there. If you haven't been in there before, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I got something like that, but it was done by a survey, and I got it off the internet. It's a survey, and it's a big old map, a couple of maps, and it has all the Utah gold in red dots with the numbers, and it comes with a sheet that has all the coordinates, the GPS coordinates to go to every one of the older gold things back in the 1800s started and all.
Okay.
The same way.
She's saying there's lots of resources online. He found one that had numbered marks and like going back to the 1800s showed all the different mining areas of Utah. So let me jump in really quick. I'm going to jump in here. Anyway, the moral of the story is there's a lot of resources that you can use to start finding where gold was. And that's where you want to start. Like, is it possible to find gold where no other human has discovered it? Yes, it is. It is. But remember that especially in the 1800s, people spent their lives scouring the planet to find occurrences. Now, that doesn't mean they found them all. And even the ones that they found, maybe they weren't profitable at the time, so they didn't mark them down. They didn't find enough color. Actually, I'm going to stand back up for a second. A great example of that. What happened in 1849? California Gold Rush. What's that? California Gold Rush. So all these miners were coming from the back east, headed to California because they hit gold in something mill. I can't remember what it's called. Sutter's Mill. Thank you. As they're traveling west, they hit the state of Nevada. They saw mountains that to them had all of the geological indicators. Thank you, my brain wasn't working. All the geological indicators of gold. They spent a lot of time there. Some miners stopped there and tried mining this ground to find it. Could not find any gold. They scratched their head, thought, that's interesting. Okay, Sutter's Mill. And they left for California. That was in the 1800s. 100 years later, in the 1980s, one of the most profitable gold mines in the world was the land that these miners in the 1800s were standing on. The problem was the gold that's there is so microscopic that you can't see it even with you need very deep magnification to see it. This area is called the Carlin Trend. It's just outside of Elko. So in the Carlin Trend, people are going in now and they're utilizing chemical, what's that?
They're using surfactant plants.
Yeah, surfactant. So it's surfactant, but they're also using leaching systems. They're using leaching systems to leach the gold out of the ground. It's the richest gold mines ever found. But all the geological indicators were there, but in the 1800s, they walked right over it because they couldn't find the gold. So yes, it's definitely still possible to find gold that wasn't found before. But if you're just going out to look for new claims, one of the big main indicators is go where people have already found gold. Robert.
I have some friends that are looking through old tailings, strong gold mine tailings, and they're finding stuff because they didn't, unless it was really a good sample, they just threw it in the tailings.
Yes. Yeah, that's an amazing point. So Robert said he's got friends that just go out and look for old tailings piles because the old timers, if it wasn't extremely high grade ore, they passed by it because it cost them more money to extract the ore than the gold was worth when it was, $10 an ounce, $40 an ounce. Now that we're at $2,600+ an ounce, it takes way less gold to make that extraction process. Plus we have more mechanical tools, more ways to extract that gold to make old mines profitable again. Okay, I don't want to cut into the amount of time that we want to spend actually learning how to do this. So let's jump in. If you haven't been there before, BLM.gov, it's the MLRS site. So the actual site is mlrs.blm.gov. I highly recommend getting a login.gov ID so that you can log into this page. What's interesting is historically I always found I had to be logged in to get some of the detailed information, but as I was playing around with it today, I don't know if they've changed it, but you're able to, I was able to get into some pretty detailed information today without being physically logged in.
Last week.
Is that when they took away the login for the detailed information? Last week. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so if you go in here, this is the entire United States of America, blm.gov. So you can go to literally anywhere that you want to go explore. When you come into the state of Utah, I'm going to start here because I just want to show a few things. So if I come into the state of Utah, I'm going to go down, here's Richfield. So let's come down to our claims. Okay, so if I zoom in, I can see all of these little, and this is something that the guy last week or last month talked about, right? Is you can see what's a placer claim versus a load claim based on the way that the hatch lines are running. A placer's one direction, the legend's down here. Loads are going this way. So all these are placer claims. If I scroll in on them, I'm able to see the Utah case number right here. And if I click on the little information button up here in the corner, I can come down to one of these cases, one of these areas, and I can click on that and it's going to pull up case information over here. Now, you can click this link to case, and if I click link to case, this is actually going to open up the details about this. It's going to tell me the name of it. This is claim 3. It's an active case. It's 60 acres. This is all really cool info. Or I can even come in here and look at related records and case customers. Like if I click on case customers, this is all information that was hidden behind login before. Now without logging in, I'm seeing that that claim is owned by the Utah Gold Prospecting Club. If I click on related records without being logged in, this is cool. I can see all the case actions. So I can see that our claim officer, Rick, filed the small minor certificate on August 27th. And if I click on this case action, you can dive in even deeper and see case action details. Why that's important is depending upon when it was filed and what was done, and I couldn't find any exact examples of this, but you can actually sometimes get in and see exact mining, like newer mines are, they added in, people have added in like better mapping systems, and they've added in the GPS coordinates for their corners. It's not something that we did before. People were walking around with GPSs in their hand. People would put out general directions of their corners, but as miners have become have more electronics in their pocket, more power in their pocket, they're taking the time to write down on their claim files on newer claims GPS coordinates. So it's really easy to see exactly where claims are. Okay, so that tells me yes, sir.
These individual cases, do they show how many acres?
Yes.
And do they show, can you zoom into that and see the actual boundaries on it?
Okay, so the question was, does the case tell you how many acres? Yes, it tells you how many acres are there. The second question was, does it show you the boundaries? This was my biggest complaint with the BLM last month when he was here, and I had a whole conversation with them at the back of the room. No, it does not. And it's really difficult to tell exactly what the claim boundaries are from the MLRS website. However, they did say that that's an update that they're working on and should have it rolled out, but they don't have exact dates on it. It might be a year or two, but that's something they're working on doing, is adding actual claim boundaries and making the map more specific to where the physical claims are at. Yeah.
But Dustin, if you have, guys, if you have a claim here that's a big square and a claim here that's a big square, and you think that you can go in between because the boundary markers
actually, Phil, that's not necessarily true. So Phil's point was, if I'm looking at this map and I think that I've got this big purple spot here and this big purple spot here and this big purple spot here, that I might be able to work a claim in here, that I might be able to, I'm actually going to debunk that. Here's why. To Rudy's point, can I see what the claim markers are? No. If this is like 2, 4, 6, 8, depending upon the grid size, this is either 160 or 80 acres worth of ground right here. If I only have a 20-acre claim, they grid mark my entire grid, but I might only have 20 acres of that 80 acres. Which means this grid mark doesn't necessarily mean that that entire grid is actually under claim. That's the part that requires boots on the physical ground to check that. There's no physical way to look that. There's two things you can do. Anybody know what the two ways to check that are?
Well, last month, he actually expanded it more and showed us where only a tiny part of that grid was.
Yeah, but I'm zoomed in pretty deep. So he had a different layer turned on.
Okay.
He had public land survey system turned on. I turned public land survey system off because the map takes forever to load. I can turn it, I can toggle that map layer system on and off, and I can see this grid. But this is 160 acres.
That's it. That's what he said.
So that means that this is 80 acres or that's 80 acres. So this is a 40 acre spot. So if I've only got a 20 acre claim, that's as far as I can get. So if I've only got a 20 acre claim, is it running north to south on the west side of the map, or is it running north to south on the east side of the map, or is it running east to west on the north side? Their system does not get me as deep as telling me exactly where in that grid their claim is. And if it's a smaller claim that's only 20 acres, that means there's another 20 acres available in that square somewhere. If that's a 40 acre claim, obviously it's already taken. Yeah.
Is there a way to go back to the original claim filing document where the guy says, yeah, it's
Yes.
50 feet southwest and whatever?
The answer is sometimes, mostly yes. So the question was, is there a way to get back to the original claim filing document? So if I come back here to these files, and this used to all be behind login. And if you come all the way back down to like the very beginning, there's location dates, map and lead file. This is going back to 2008. So I can click on some of this stuff, and where I'm at is in the case actions. So from the original page I'm at, I clicked on, I'm going to click the back button. So here's the map page, or here's the case page. I had details, land records, related records, case customers. In related records, here's the case actions. I clicked view all, and that took me to another page that has all those case actions. If I scroll back to the beginning, yeah, the question is, how detailed was the miner when he submitted it? And those are getting more sophisticated now, and anything that's been done since they implemented the MLRS system, I'm actually putting in with geo-specific GPS tags. So now that's why they're able to update this system, and they're working to make it more specific. But the older version, where it was the southwest corner of the quarter, blah, 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 they don't have, their system's not sophisticated enough to take that and physically map that out on the map yet.
Okay, so the question, are these for placer claims or load claims?
Okay.
If they're placer claims, then you can still go in and file a load claim.
Right here. When I click on one of these and get the information on it, pops open the information down here. It'll say if it's a placer, a load, or both.
Okay.
I can see that right here.
Because if you're going to file, you might as well file for both. Or somebody can override you.
Yeah, so Rudy's point is, if you're going to file for a claim, you should file for both load and placer. That way you can cover all your bases. Because if you find a vein on your placer claim, you want to be able to mine it. You don't want someone to come in and grab it from you. Okay, I want to jump in now. Where's Phil? Bo.
Just a quick question. I know, and I don't know how exactly it is, but I know when you hold your hand or your arrow or whatever.
Yeah.
It does give you
GPS.
at the bottom, but they're not, we come to learn they're not exactly right.
Well, it's really hard to get exactly in on it. But so what Bo is saying is, if I zoom in here and I put my little cursor, where did Phil put that cool little pointer he was playing with earlier? Probably. Okay, so my mouse is right here. Okay, so here's my mouse. If I want to find out the coordinates for this, if I hover the mouse over, down here in the corner, I'm getting very general GPS coordinates. Now I can take that and plug that into another mapping. But you see this hand is this big. Where's the center point of that hand? What's the point of that hand that's marking the boundary, right? It's not the most sophisticated way to do it. So I want to show you some other tools to add on to that. And Phil, really quick, I've got until what time? What time do I have till?
8-ish. somewhere.
8-ish. Okay. All right. I don't want to run out of time because we got some really cool stuff I want to show. Pointer. Thanks, sir. Okay, I'll try not to blind anybody. All right, so one of my questions was, I see this. I know that there's a claim here, but I'm not sure what the boundaries are. What options do I have? There's at least two I can think of. What at least two options are there, and maybe more, can I use to find out what the claim markers, what the claim boundaries are here? Okay.
Well, to start with, just go out to the claim area and find those markers.
Boots on the ground. That's definitely one of the two that I had in my brain. Boots on the ground, go out there, find your claim markers, and now you know what your corner points are for that claim. That's definitely one way to do it. What's the second way?
Should say, when you go into the details of the claim, the actual northwest and the actual coordinates for each measurement point.
It does, yeah. So what he was saying is, if when you go into the case, if you go back and you can find the original case filings, it should have the original marker in there. That should be maybe the map, I don't know. I can click through, there's a lot of stuff in this particular filing that I could click on to try to find it, but it should be in there. That's one way. Or I could pick up a phone or walk into the BLM office and give them the case number that I want the details for. If I call them, they'll email it to me. It's like a bucket page or something, but they'll send you all the original case filing so you have the physical paper that was filed at the time. Again, the more modern they are, normally the better the maps are. The more historical they are, the less accurate the mapping systems might be. And always, before you start prospecting somewhere, get boots on the ground and find those claim markers. This is just sitting at your home trying to figure out where you might want to go prospect this weekend, okay? So, that said, now I've got some locations I can see in here. On my research map, I can see where there's claims. I assume there's gold there. I can go into things like the mindat.org website, and I can look up some specific areas inside of mindat.org. It's going to tell me the type of mineralization that was found there, the commodities found in the Ann Laurie mine, which I looked up on mindat.org, are gold and silver. These are the main things that they found in the Ann Laurie. That's the claim. That's the physical lode mine that's right above claim 7 and 3. So this, I just looked up the mine that was up above it. This was recorded data at mindat.org. This is one of the next places I'll go to. Just because there's a mineral claim does not necessarily mean it's gold. So before I'm going to go prospect it, I want to find out, what were they mining there? So that's the next thing I'm going to check. I'm going to find out in that area, what were they mining in that area? I can use a map like this, or I can come to mindat.org and find out, and from other mines in the area, what their commodity was.
Yes, if they were finding big platinum nuggets, forget it.
Yeah, you don't want platinum. Yeah, but like, let's say maybe it was lead. Maybe they were a lead manufacturer. Maybe they're an iron manufacturer. There's other commodities that they may have been pulling out of the ground. Uranium. It could have been a government uranium supplier. You know, going back, some of the mines that are on here literally go back to the 1800s when you're looking at closed records, and they might be getting resources that we're not necessarily wanting to get. So make sure that the commodity that they're pulling out of that claim is the commodity you're looking for. Okay, something else I want to research when I'm on this map. And the gentleman last month alluded to it. I can come into my layers, click on this mining claims layer, and there's closed mining claims. So now I'm overlaying these blue ones. Let me step out of the light here. These blue ones, he gave me a broken thing.
Just tap it on the table.
There we go. Woohoo! Okay, these blue lines versus the purple lines are closed claims. That means all the purple ones are current mining, active mining claims. All the blue ones, they're claims that were active at one point in time, but are no longer active. There's a couple reasons that could be. Number one, the people stopped mining it and walked away from it. They died in the war in 1944. Right? They died in World War II, and the family never went back to do anything with their mine. It was an active claim that the BLM had access to inside of the MLRS, and then nobody went back to do it. Number two, they mined it out. There's no longer anything there to find because they mined out the length of the vein that they wanted to mine for, or it became less profitable for them. So you could have a super rich mine that the owner died or didn't pass it on or walked away from for one reason, or maybe they hit the amount of ore content that they wanted to get for the amount of money that gold was worth at the time. That doesn't mean it's not profitable today, right? Dan.
Yeah, back during World War II, they also came out with a little thing from the president at the
Right.
time, L208, which shut down all the mining in the whole country.
Right. So for those that don't know, what Dan's referring to is during World War II, any non-essential, war-essential mineral mine was shut down. And all of the people that worked in those mines were drafted and sent to war. Some of them didn't come home. So a lot of those mines never got renewed, never got picked up, because when people came back, a lot of them did not go back into mining. They lost limbs, they found other jobs, they didn't come back and work in the mines, they went and did something else, or they didn't come back home at all. So when mining was re-implemented after World War II, a lot of the mines didn't pick back up. There was also a time period where it was actually illegal to own gold privately. And so people weren't out mining for gold, right? So these claims could have gone dormant for one reason or another. Or people thought that they found gold, they came out, they looked, after they dug around and went a little bit deeper, they realized, the gold wasn't as good as I thought it was. But this is great knowledge for you, because these are areas where you can go prospect. There's not an active claim here.
So if there's not an active claim, can you reclaim it?
The question is, if there's not an active claim, can you reclaim it? The answer is yes. You can reclaim it. You'd have to go through the entire claim process. Yes, you can. But don't just go out and reclaim it. Test it. Make sure it's what's there is what you want to be there. So these are some great areas, but anything that doesn't have a thing here, if it's not purple or blue, that means it's never been claimed. So is that because there's nothing there? Or is that because it's private land? Is that because nobody's tested it before and there's $1 billion worth of gold sitting under the ground that nobody's ran into before? Okay? So these are things that you need to know. All right, I'm going to step away from the MLRS for a second because I want to show you the next step in my personal process. Okay? Yeah, Kay.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Do you have to have a claim to find gold and sell it
No.
to the assessor?
The question was, do you have to have a claim in order to buy, to find gold and sell it? So I'm going to answer that a couple different ways. I can go anywhere that's unclaimed, that's not private ground, that's not federally prohibited from mining it, and I can mine that, I can prospect that ground. I just can't go in with heavy equipment without claiming it and putting permits on it. That's part of the answer. The next answer is, it's easier to sell raw gold than it is to process it and sell it. Once you process it and you refine it down to a coin, now the gold buyers can no longer tell the original source of that gold, and they won't buy it unless you're a certified reseller. Does that make sense?
Keep your gold raw to sell.
Keep your gold raw. You're not going to get full spot a lot of times, but you'll be able to, it'll be easier for you to find buyers for your gold unprocessed.
Yeah, Cascade used to buy, melted, whatever, people used to melt down, farmers and crap for the gold, blah, blah, blah. But now they will not take any that's been melted, and if you bring in plaster, they normally pay 80% of spot.
Did everybody hear Phil?
Yeah.
I buy it all and pay more.
There you go. That's it. And Robert is an awesome resource for our club because he does. He does.
What do you pay on spot, Bobby, for gold?
95%.
95% of spot. So keep that in mind when you're out looking for gold. Okay, I'm going to work into, I've got about 10 or 15 minutes left. I want to work into the next subject here before we lose time because this is going to be very important. Rudy.
If you decide to work that area, are you limited to 5 acres?
If you want to work an area that's unclaimed, the question is, am I limited on my acreage? I can go physically hand pan it all I want. I just can't move in with big equipment unless I am permitted to do so. The reason why you want to claim it is because if you find some good stuff, you want to claim it so someone else can't claim it from underneath you. So you first, in order to claim it, you have to prove that there's minerals there. So you walk in and you test it first to prove that there's minerals. Once the mineralization is proven, you've got enough gold in your pan that it's worth spending money at the BLM to pay money for that land, put up your markers, file your paperwork with the county, file your paperwork with the BLM, and claim it. So it's your claim, and no one else can mine on it.
We have claims.
We do have club claims, yes.
We have to pay every year for renewal of the claims.
Right.
If Phil didn't pay for the claims, somebody else could come in and get them. What's the time frame there?
So the question is, if you don't pay your assessment fees on a claim, what's the time frame before someone can claim it? Midnight 01 the next day. If on the day that they're due, which is September 1st, 3rd this year, I think it was the 3rd, September 3rd this year, if on September 3rd you hadn't paid your assessment fee, it was available to be claimed by someone else on September 4th.
Yeah. And there are people that are
Watching those lists.
Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, these people that are down here
Watching these lists.
it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you handle your assessments. Yeah.
Yeah, plaster claims are small areas, low claims are large. Surfaces.
Kind of.
Okay. If you file a plaster claim of, say, one area, and a low claim of the whole area, can somebody come in and file another plaster claim on top of your low claim?
Okay, actually, I want to change your definition a little bit. A plaster claim is a 20-acre claim that is top surface, non-attached gold. So I'm claiming in 20-acre sections. A lode is following a vein, and it's a totally different measurement. And yes, you can stack plasters and lodes on top of each other, but so if you only file a lode claim, someone can put a plaster on top of that, but they can't touch your lode, they can't touch your hard rock, they can only touch the free-floating plaster gold. Yeah, okay, guys, limited time. These are fantastic questions. I really want to show you some key things to look at, okay? So that some extra tools that you can have in your toolkit when you want to go out and prospect. Some of these are free, some of these are paid. You're going to see the difference as to why. The first thing I'm going to start off with is Google Earth. That's the wrong button. Here we go. Google Earth. Okay, so on Google Earth, you're going to notice that I've already got a few points marked here. Claim 4. Then I can slide over here and I can see claim 7. I can see claim 3. I can also see the GPAA claims, which are the Crimson Dove claims below us. And then I can follow these bodies of water. This is the way direction the water's running, and I can follow it all the way up to that Ann Laurie mine that I was talking about, which is up here, right here in this road section. This is where they're doing the mining for the Ann Laurie. So now I can be like, oh wow, the reason why we have placer gold on claim 7 and 3 is because it's been deteriorating geologically from the Ann Laurie mine all these years and following the stream right down, which tells me if I'm looking at locations of hard rock gold mines that people have been working and there's a stream coming off of that, wow, if there's unclaimed land along this stream, that might be an area I want to go check for a placer mine. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate the direction of this just a little bit. Hopefully nobody gets sick. There we go. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is adjust my elevation point, which is this one. Nope, that one. Okay. So there's a specific thing I'm trying to do and I can't figure out how to do it on here. But, okay, that's claim 4. So here's the mountain. You can see where they've been digging on top of this mountain, right? You can see where they've been digging. All of this, before they were digging it, nature was eroding this ground away, eroding this gold down the hill and just naturally taking it down this stream, which is why we're finding placer gold down here on 7 and 3. This is not the vein. This is not the lode. The lode, the vein that's creating the gold is all the way up here. But for millions and millions of years, it's been going down this stream. So that tells me if I'm looking at hard rock mines on like the MLRS or on the topo maps or wherever I'm getting my hard rock mine information, I can go and find that, and then I can look for bodies of water and directions of erosion, and I can read this map now using something like Google Earth, and I can figure out the direction that gold's going.
Like that place that your hand is right there. That looks like a place that might drop some gold.
You are 100% accurate. Yeah, this is a great place to drop gold. So now I'm going to go back into my first tool, which was the MLRS.
Now you can also go back where you were, and then you hit satellite, and then you can physically see all the contours as you walk through it. I don't know if you knew that.
What's the question? What are you saying, Marie?
When you're overviewing it with, like you were there, you can click into satellite, and that'll give you a drop down, and you can actually see
Yes.
what you're going through, what it looks like.
Yeah. So Rudy was saying there's different programs, including Google Earth, where you can satellite tour areas, and you can see. Absolutely, it's something I was going to, if we have time, showcase. You can do 3D tours and 3D maps and look at the contours. They're not 100% accurate because it's a flat satellite way up above the ground, pointed down at Earth, taking the contours. But you'll be able to actually see areas where, like, we've got claims that I've been to where we've taken and spun using a different tool. I'll showcase that in a minute. Where you can spin the ground around flat and look at the contours and the details, and you can actually almost start to see where gold's going to drop out. Okay.
Quick question. On the map you were just on, can you take the GPS coordinates and throw it into that find address or place?
Yes. Yep. So the question is, can I take the GPS coordinates from here and stick it into, so if I want to turn off this closed mines one because it's just too busy for me. Okay. All right. So take off the closed mine layer. Here's the Kimberly. I want to look at the Kimberly. I can come down here and like maybe point right here, this point of the road of Pine Drive. I haven't figured out a way to copy and paste this. So typically if I'm doing this, I'm going to have either a piece of paper next to me or I'm going to be jotting it down in like a notebook or something. Like I'll have a notebook open here and I'll type in the information here. And so I can see down in this corner. Phil, I don't like your pointer. I've got my GPS coordinates. I'm going to come here, I'm going to click it, I'm going to type out these GPS coordinates from where I left my pointer, and then I'm going to jump into my I don't use Google Earth, but I wanted to showcase because it's free. You can jump in it, drop it into Google Earth, and you can pinpoint to that exact same spot.
Can you go the opposite way? Can you go from Google Earth to this?
Yes, you can. You can take GPS coordinates and put it in this find address or place and type it in. The other thing that I'll do though is like if I find something on Google Earth that is, what does that say? Severe mine. Like I'll find a point of interest or a road name and I'll drop that in and I'll search there and then I can kind of look at the whole area. So I'll just find like a landmark that I can type in by name instead of using the exact GPS coordinate. And then I'll reverse search back into MLRS doing that. We got just 5 minutes left. 5 minutes is all I got left. Guys, I want to show you. This is a paid map that I use. This is called Onyx, okay? And I love Onyx for a number of reasons. We've looked at the MLRS, and we've looked at Google Earth. 10 minutes? Okay.
How do you spell that? What is it?
ONX. Onyx. You can buy just a state. You can buy 2 states, or you can buy the entire United States of America. I'm a hunter and I'm a gold miner and I'm an avid outdoorsman. I'm always out in the outdoors. I pay for the whole country because I never know what state I'm going to be in. So me personally, I've made this decision for myself. It gives me, I think it's 99 for the whole US and 39 for one state, 49 for 2 states. I'm not trying to sell you guys on this. I don't make any money on this. But what I want to point out is the features of it. So same thing, I can type in GPS coordinates and I can search out GPS coordinates. I can type in landmarks, I can type in addresses, whatever I need to get to an area. Here are some of the cool things about it. If I'm going into the backwoods, it'll track my route so that I can turn it on from my mobile phone, download the satellite maps right to my phone, and then I can set GPS boundaries to it. So here is an example. This is our claim in Silver City. No, this is Rocky Bar. These are our Rocky Bar claims right here, okay? I've set up the Rocky Bar claims. I've named my corners. That's the northeast corner of Last Chance. That's the center post between the two. This is the Riding Tree southwest corner, post 2. Exact GPS locations because I was standing there and I GPSed them. I drew a geo fence around that and I changed the color of it so that when I'm on my map, wherever I'm standing when I'm out there, I can look at my map and I can see the color-coded geo fence to make sure I'm within the boundary of our claim. One of the things that we were talking about, Rudy, you brought up satellite maps. So now I've just turned on satellite maps. I can dive into here and I can actually get 3D views of what the ground looks like. So now I can take a reading and I can say, okay, at the northwest corner of our claim, there's a huge gully here, and then I can track it. So if I find something down here, I can start to track it up. Okay, is it coming from this? Nope, not getting gold here, still getting gold here. I keep coming up. Oh, am I getting gold here? Nope, I'm getting it here. And I can see from an aerial view in 3D, it looks way better on my screen than it does on this projection. I can get an aerial view of exactly what the layout of our claims are. So you can see how our claims are kind of split. I'm going to get rid of that to open up a little bit more room here. You can see how our claims are kind of split diagonally with these canyons right here. And so then I can track the water. This is what's really cool about Onyx though, and the reason I pay for it. There's so many tools and I could do a whole session just on Onyx, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not selling that to you. I'm just showing this as a tool. This is why I like Onyx. The color here is different. This right here is got this red border and it doesn't say U.S. Forest Service on it. I can click on that. Idaho Private Lands, Featherman Family Trust. Some of the areas where there's big gaping areas where there's not claims, it's not because people haven't found gold there, it's because they're private lands. You cannot see this information on any free system anywhere. I was so over the moon excited one day because I was tracing the Yuba River in California, and I found this whole section of the Yuba River that's unclaimed. I was like, over the moon. I'm like, Carl, we're claiming this ground. And I pulled up the GPS coordinates on Onyx, and it's private land. It can be claimed, but you have to have there's some rules around that with the owners.
Yeah, you can go to the owners and say, hey, how about if I go out there and pan some of this stuff, and if I get rich, I'll share it with you, or you can share it with me.
You absolutely can. You can go to the owners and you can make arrangements with the owners, but depending upon the people, sometimes they don't want people messing around on their private land, which I totally understand. But you also know that you just can't go there and prospect, because if you do, now you're trespassing. And on my phone, I can see a geofence of what their private land is, and I know where I can and cannot legally be standing, okay? The other cool thing about Onyx is it gives me contact information. So, as was pointed out, you can make some arrangements with the family to maybe get some entrance to their land. Well, now I know who to talk to. They're in Dallas, Texas, but I could write Carol Featherman Trotter a letter explaining my intents. This is actually, funny enough,
So what happened on these claims? Where would you guys have the issues?
That's a whole nother discussion that I'm not going to get into in the next 2 minutes. I will happily have that discussion with you after the fact. But if I were to come down to, I'm just going to, with my last couple of seconds, I'm just going to show you how helpful that is. Let me get down here. Okay, like if I come down here, you can see that, like, if I come into Lehigh, right? Come on, do it. Update. It's probably just going really slow because...
Well, that's updating real quick. Does it actually show you where you're at on the map if you're live on it?
If I click this button, location access denied. On my phone, yes. I can click this little location button down in the corner. It'll literally pull me within standard GPS 6-foot radius of exactly where I'm at.
So you can actually prove you never crossed that line.
If you're tracking your waypoints, yes.
Who owns the river or stream
That's a whole different, I'm not getting into the legal conversation. Don't touch ground on it. You can float through somebody's stream on their private land, but don't touch ground on their private land.
But you can fish it.
If you don't touch the dry ground. I'm not here for the legal side of the conversation. So how much time do I have? Like 1 minute?
I got 5.
I got 5. Okay. I'm going to open it up at this point for questions for the last 5 minutes. Yeah.
What about mineral rights? So how about the owners own the property, but it's not mineral rights?
Well, ownership of the mineral rights is, ownership of the property is not ownership of the mineral rights, but in order for you to claim it, you have to have some kind of ability to access it. They don't have to give a right of way for mineral access. That's where he was saying you kind of have to come to an agreement with someone. Like, for example, I've got a friend who owns like 100 acres in Nevada. He owns the property, but the railroad owns the mineral rights. He can't physically mine it because the railroad owns the mineral rights underneath his land. Yeah. All the way down to where?
40th west.
Yeah.
40th west in this valley?
Yeah, yep, 40th West, yeah, Kennecott, part of their lease, yep.
Okay, all this is really fascinating, but is there some resource that we could go to that gets a book that, it's fascinating for me to look at this, but I don't absorb it fast enough to be able to, is there?
So the question is there a book or some way to continue to learn how to do this? This is stuff I've personally learned through trial and error and watching other people's YouTube videos. And part of it was through hunting and getting to know OnX is how I kind of learned this. But the great news is, right next to you is a video recorder that just camcorded this whole thing. And this video is going to be on the club website if you want to go back and review it.
Google Earth, are there books that tell you how to use Google Earth?
Yes, there are actually some great books and YouTube videos, some great resources on how to use Google Earth. Yes. I'm coming over here first.
So, OnX is a hunting claim site, basically, isn't it?
It's a hunting app, yeah.
Yeah, and you use it now for the money.
I use it, my hunting stuff I mark one color, my mining stuff I mark a different color.
So, in other areas, I've seen this where the hunting lease is, the hunting club owns that, so you actually have to go through them if you're gonna get on that land and do anything. In the first place, so.
Yeah, but that should be marked here as private, yeah. So the great news is the land will show up as private, and I know not to enter that without getting permission from the owners.
Yeah.
Yep,
Is this a one-time, you buy this program?
annual,
one time?
annual.
Oh, annual.
It's a annual subscription for OnX. So if you just want the state of Utah, it's $39. If you want a couple states, again, I just pay for all of them because I mine in California, Arizona, Colorado, Montana. I hunt.
Every year.
Yeah, every year, once a year, it'll bill me for this. But there's free. You don't get the private land side of it, but there's Gaia maps, and Gaia is another one. If I had more time, I would have shown. You can do similar stuff minus the private land stuff in Gaia or Google Earth. And so something like this is Gaia maps. We're up in Idaho. Here's Nampa, Boise, Twin Falls. So somewhere in here, boom, I scroll in. Here's the exact same, here's a topo map version of those same Rocky Bar claims. It doesn't, you have to get pretty detailed and like play around with it to be able to get into some of the 3D stuff. But you can get to the same mapping information and the same phone tracking detail that you can get on Gaia that you have on OnX. You just lose the private boundaries. G-A-I-A is how you spell Gaia. Yeah.
So, this is the experience I just found out I'm having. If you own, your family owned land with the mineral rights on it, say they sold the land 40 years ago, but they didn't sell the mineral rights, you don't have to keep updating or paying like a claim fee with the state to keep that?
So the question is, if your family sold land and only sold the property and not the mineral rights with it, is there anything you need to do to maintain those mineral rights? And to be honest, that's a legal question. I have no idea. I
just got
Yeah.
contacted by a mining, gas, and oil company for a property my family sold 40 years ago. Apparently, I still own the mineral rights.
Huh, that's pretty cool.
Hold
congrats. Yeah, home run. We good?
Pay the fees. Hold on.
Okay, one last thing I want to say before I turn it back over to Phil then. If the severe, I was showing a lot of stuff on severe outings this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I know there's a number of folks that are going. I haven't asked which officers are going to be there. The sign-in sheet is back at my table in the back. So on our break, if you want to go sign up so you can get on the contact list and we'll start up a group message like we usually do. I was reminded that it's my wedding anniversary this weekend. And I hope my wife doesn't watch this recording. Sorry, Matt, I'm blocking the recording. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be on the outing this weekend. But sign-in sheet at the back. Thanks so much, everyone.